There's more to life than what we think we know. I'm Micky, and I created this space so we can learn new perspectives by sharing our journeys. I believe communication and transparency is the key to growth. So if you're ready for raw conversations about real experiences and life lessons that we can all learn from, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to More by Micky. Hi, I'm Micky, and this is More by Micky. I'm here with Amanda, and I would love for her to introduce herself to all of you. So go ahead.
Hey guys, so good to be here.
Thank you.
So flattered to participate in your project. My name is Amanda Ferreira. It's a weird last name, but it's because I'm from Brazil. In Portuguese, we say Ferreira. I'm a trainer. I'm a fitness influencer. I'm a fitness competitor. Fitness has been my life basically since I can remember. I love movement. I love what it does for us. I love how it can pass on into so many areas of our life. So this is what I do. This is my life, my passion, and now my career.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go into how we met.
Yes.
I was at the gym, and my other trainer, who was Hannah, hi Hannah, was leaving, and she set me up with you, and we met. That was at an interesting time in my life, and you got to come in and deal with me complaining about every workout and reps and what I don't like, and you were able to keep up with my fussiness, let's call it.
That's a great word.
I know, it's very like elegant way of
very
putting.
Much. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Yeah, I like that for me too. We'll just go with that fussiness. And through that process, we became very close friends. And I feel like we've grown together at the same time. We've helped each other, and it really blossomed into a really, really good friendship.
It has, yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to read you a quote.
Okay.
And just basically say how it makes you feel, what thoughts does it strike, basically what's the first thought that comes to your mind.
Okay, bring it on.
Let's go. Hot seat over here. You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens.
Wow. That is like every woman I've ever worked with. Some into a bigger extent, some in different areas, but I really believe that is all of us. Whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's I'm not a good enough mom, I'm not a good enough spouse, I'm not a good enough daughter. I think we all have that issue of overly criticizing us. I was talking to it about yesterday, another friend we have in common, talking about how we have that tendency to first look at our flaws before anything else and obsess over them and just think that everybody else sees us like that.
Through that lens.
Right. And how horrible it is to live in that area where you think we're like all the time people are magnifying all our mistakes and our flaws and our shortcomings. When in all reality, if you reverse that, the way I look at you, I don't see flaws. I see only the good things about you. Loving you, being a great friend, like being close to you is almost like it's a choice, but I don't even have to do it consciously. It's subconsciously just natural. Like I'm gonna draw myself to the good areas in you. Not to say that it's a convenience friendship or a convenience relationship, but it's like, why would I obsess over the bad things when there's all these amazing good things about this person? Right. The bad things kind of like you just ignore them, like you don't pay attention to them. Also, not to say that you shouldn't take care of it and assess what the things that you need to improve about yourself. Once again, whether physically, emotionally, financially, whatever. But I really think, sadly, it's a reality for all of us. I've never dealt with one client that hasn't had that lens over herself in one or more areas of her life.
Interesting. So you think that the way we look at ourselves and the way we criticize ourselves, do you think it's just the way we see it? Is it, number one, is it reality? Is there truth to it? do other people see that? Or is it a story that we almost exaggerated when it stemmed from something so little? Which, or is it all the above?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Um, and I also think it's important to understand that just because something's not real doesn't mean it's not real for that person.
Okay.
And that needs to be
elaborate
addressed.
on that a little.
Well, let's say,
because it's not being delusional. It does exist on some level.
It does.
Right.
And it needs to be assessed. I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a professional bodybuilder. I do fitness since when I can remember. When I look at my body in the mirror, I see things that for myself are under my standard.
Okay.
Let's just put it like I have a little bit more body fat than I would like to have. That's a reality for me. And when I look at the mirror, it's like, oh, man, this little thing right here won't go away. 10, I'm going to be a little bit less. 9 out of 10 people, women, let's just use women as a reference, would look at me and say like, you're insane. You don't have anything to lose. Like, you look great. Okay, that's important to have that feedback. It's like, okay, maybe I am partially insane. That doesn't mean I don't need
just kidding.
That doesn't mean we don't need to assess that and see like, okay, if there is some fat there, I'm gonna use this just a simple example so we can put that in any other areas of our life. If there's a little bit of fat there that keeps bothering me, and it has been bothering me for the past 5-10 years, why don't I do something about it?
Right.
Okay, let me try to just get rid of it. Maybe let me be really consistent with my diet. Let me increase my cardio. Let me go get some treatments, whatever it is that might fix your problem. But also on the other side, like, you know what? Maybe I'm exaggerating and I'm being extra harsh on myself.
So you're saying it's a balance.
It's really a balance, because I don't
How do you find that balance though? Because, I can look in the mirror and be like, oh my God, I don't want to say fat, but I have in my standard, like you were just saying, I have 20 pounds I need to lose. And someone else can look at me and be like, what are you saying? If you lost 20 pounds, you wouldn't exist anymore. But to me, I look in the mirror and that's what I see. So where's the balance of the reality of what's real?
I think you need to, the easiest and safest way I've seen to kind of assess that is whenever I look at pictures of myself in the past, I've had so many episodes in my life where I remember being miserable because of how I looked. Like trips that were ruined, parties that I didn't enjoy myself, or even situations where I felt so upset because I didn't look my best. And then I look at pictures and it's like, I looked amazing.
You're saying years later, looking
years
back
later, yeah. Let's say I have a specific episode that's when it clicked me for the first time. I had just done a show in 2019 in August, so I looked super ripped, and after a competition, you gain a little bit of weight, which is normal because the way we step on stage is not sustainable. Nobody should, especially women, should not live on that body fat level. And I had my best friend's wedding back home in Brazil, not even a month after. So I of course, it didn't look like I looked on stage. And I was enjoying myself, and I was back home eating my mom's home cooking, all of those things. And I had a little bit of bloating going on, but it looked amazing. But I remember all throughout the trip, or like a week trip, we had, the bachelorette party, we had the wedding, we had the reception. I felt so miserable.
Wow.
Because it's like, oh, my clothes don't fit. Where's my six pack? I don't see the veins on my forearms. It was like that.
It ruined your whole trip.
It ruined my whole trip. Wow. And there was like leaving, like one of the most beautiful moments of my life, or my best friend from like you weren't high
even
school
able to check in and be present and enjoy the moment because your whole entire body image of yourself was
like, I'm huge.
Wow.
What happened? Like last month, I was on stage top 10 in the whole world of my category, and here I am.
So how do you find that balance? Because obviously looking back, you weren't huge. I can tell you that, but it doesn't really matter what I say. But how do you find that balance that like the thought in your head doesn't control how you really feel? Because I feel like everyone struggles with that, men and women. It's not just women.
No, it's not just women, men too.
So where is that balance? Because so many people allow it to control.
Well, and then, so after maybe 4 years after that, I looked at pictures and I was scrolling on my phone, and I saw that picture and I was like, damn, I looked amazing.
Right.
When was that? And I went to check the date. It was on the week of the trip. And I was like, how delusional was I
Right.
to let it ruin my whole trip? And then I started seeing that happening over and over, and I noticed a pattern.
So it's really catching your own patterns, which
Yes,
will be able to bring you back to reality of the real situation.
correct.
Wow.
And catch and break the loop of like, I feel miserable, it ruins my day. Oh, I actually look good. Damn. I feel miserable, it ruins my day. A few years later, oh, I actually look good.
But how do you find it in that moment? Because we're talking about like looking back.
Yeah.
How do we nip it in that moment that, okay, so I'm getting dressed, we're going out, and I don't like the way I look. And I try on 6 different outfits, and I'm just like, my legs, my stomach, my arm, blah, blah. And then you're right. In 2 years, I'll look back and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I looked amazing that night. So my question is, how do I nip that in the moment where I'm not trying on 5 different
You ignore it.
Just
ignore it. It's a choice. You need to choose how to not listen to those feelings because you know they're not real.
So they're really just thought. You have to really control the thoughts in your head.
You have to like say, this voice in my head that keeps saying, that gives me an unrealistic perception of what is really happening. This is not real.
Wow.
This is not true. And this is not benefiting me in any sort of way. And then you have to get logical to the point, like, are you taking care of yourself? Yes. Am I doing all the things I can do right now to get better? Yes. Am I seeing any sort of improvements? Most likely, yes. So like, okay, I'm doing the things that I know I need to be doing. I might not be there yet where I want to be, if ever, because, you know, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, like it just keeps changing. Like every time we never actually get to where we want to be, because that idea or that level, it just keeps changing. It keeps changing, but there's a way we can use that to our benefit. And once again, it has to be a change in how you see things. Okay. For example, when I just came back from vacation, and there was a point in my vacation where I felt, oh, I'm a little extra bloated. You know, I maybe have one or maybe 2 drinks, or eating a little too much. I'm not working out as hard. And for me, with all that process in my mind, and like from years of like dealing with that, my choice was like, you know what? Can we cuss here? No. Then I say, because I said fussy. Oh, yes. I can just say, oh, screw it. Or, you know, or forget it. Forget it. Thank you for the help. You know, I need help with words sometimes. Yeah. English is not so good. No. Only forget cuss words are your first language. Yeah. It's okay. That I know in all languages. But you said, forget it. I'm not going to let this ruin my trip. I'm not going to let this ruin my day. I'm going to enjoy myself regardless. Yes, I might even be a little bit bloated. It might be real. Right. But why would I let that ruin if I know that even like that condition is transitory, is not a permanent condition. Right. I am doing things to get better. Right. I am on the path of like feeling better about myself. And it might be that. It might not ever be there. So if, as much as we improve, also moves the needle of how much better we want to look. Right. Am I going to choose to live in unhappy and always allow it to like control, right, state, or am I going to choose to like, okay, I am walking towards a better path. I'm going to choose to concentrate on the things that are working and what I'm doing. I'm going to be happy with it and understand that my body's evolution is going to keep changing all the time. So you're really ultimately saying it's really a mindset that you have to constantly be in. Completely. And it's a choice. You have to actively choose and understand that whatever I'm doing like that and like only looking at my flaws and being so unhappy, right, this is not working. This is doing nothing for me. Right. Wow. We joke about that all the time while I'm training. Like I'm wearing shorts and I just came from an off season where I gained 25 pounds. And even though it was something I wanted to do, I needed to do for my shows, it was fun. The eating and drinking part was fun. I do not like looking bigger, but it was fun. It has a positive side. Yeah. Like I put shorts and I look in the mirror and I see cellulite. And it bothers me so much. But at another point, I'm like, am I never going to wear shorts again? Because I had a little bit of cellulite. That's something I wanted to talk about also. Cellulite. It is such, first of all, it's a horrible word. Why couldn't they name it something cuter? Because it's so ugly. So like, it should be a cute name, I think. It is. We should just change the name for cellulite. But since it's still cellulite, that's what we'll call it. But why is it that it's not normalized more? Like everyone has it. Everyone talks about it. And yet society as a whole, it's like not the worst, obviously. Such a bad thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's controlled my life,
Mm-hmm.
all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see skinny people who have no fat on their body and they have cellulite. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, so then it's hereditary and it's this and it's that and all the other things, but it's frustrating.
It is.
So you're just saying it's mind over matter, no matter what it is. And I can look in the mirror and be like, my cellulite's beautiful. Thank you for being on my body, and move on with my day, and everything will just be la-di-da.
Well, I think that's a little bit La La Land. You know,
I like La La Land.
Bring into reality.
Balance me out, Amanda.
I think some people have the mindset, and
they do, and God, I like that them. For them. I
yes,
love that.
God bless them. I don't think that's most of us.
No.
So I don't think it's like that. You know, thank you, cellulite. Thank you, extra fat. But in reality, if we dig down deep, they're there for a reason. You know, it can be hereditary, it can be genetic, it can be whatever. But I don't think it's that type of like just ignoring like that. It's like, it's there. I don't like it. I don't think it's the most flattering thing.
But I'm not going to let it control.
I'm not going to let it control my life, because I have so much more going on for me than this.
Right.
Like an easy example, we live in Miami. It's hot. Am I never going to wear shorts to go to the gym because I have a little bit of cellulite? No. Right. I'm going to look for better lighting at the gym. I'm not also going to play against myself.
It depends which machine's open with the lighting.
Exactly. Like, don't put a light directly from the top here, because that's just mean. But
like the lighting in here.
Yeah, I'm going to still wear my shorts and think I look beautiful, and look for where it's the best lighting in the gym.
Right. So it's how to trick your body and the lighting.
Yes. Trick your body and the lighting and the mind.
Trick your mind into not seeing the cellulite as much based on lighting. What about natural light?
Well, don't go out when it's midday.
Only go out at nighttime when it's dark. Great advice, Amanda. Guys, do not exist outside of darkness. Yeah.
From 11 a.m. to, let's say, 1 p.m., just be inside. Just kidding, guys. I'm a jokester.
Or yeah.
It's just like, it's really...
It's really ultimately about being comfortable with yourself.
Being comfortable, but also understanding that our bodies change. We have that that thing that we see something that is temporary, and we kind of turn that into our identity. And we think like, oh, this is just who I am. No, this is how you are now. Doesn't mean you can change. Right. I see that a lot.
We do get very caught up in it, like dictating who we are, when really it has nothing to do with who we are.
Yes. And also, we only do that for negative things. Have you noticed? Like, when we look amazing and we have makeup, hair done, like we're skinny, like the outfit is a mob. Like, when you wake up the following day, like with mascara all running down, like, well, you don't, because you're a good girl. You take your makeup.
Of course, I can't break out and have wrinkles.
I don't always do that. But when you wake up and you're like not feeling your best self, do you still hold your identity from the night before? You're feeling amazing?
See, that's the problem. We forget.
We forget.
It's like gone.
But remember the bad.
Why is that?
Because I think it's a natural human attraction to
negativity.
The negative bias.
Okay, we need to rewrite our whole script. Like, the world in general needs to like be more positive, because, and I'm learning this through my own journey nowadays. You're right. Why am I harping on something bad when I wake up, which I've been working on a lot. I do like gratitude journal in the morning now, every morning. Why am I not waking up and be like, wow, I looked really good last night? Or, wow, I ate really well yesterday. I did my workouts. I got my rest. I took a nap. I feel amazing. I had 1 cup of coffee instead of 5. Like, why am I not focusing on all the positives?
Well, one thing that we can really explain that, and it's easy to understand, is the survival mechanism. From our evolution standpoint, we have to pay attention to the negatives, otherwise we'll die. So it is really your brain just trying to keep you alive. But of course, the way we live today, we don't have to be that alert all the time, at least not for the same things. Right. But we do have that natural attractiveness to it, that what is negative and what's possibly harmful for us, right? Because we need to survive. So once you understand that your brain is just trying to keep you alive, you can kind of try to talk to it like, just like, relax.
I'm safe. I'm
safe.
Good.
I have food in my fridge. I'm not gonna die.
No,
you're gonna be okay. Yeah.
You look good.
You look good.
Yeah.
Smile. World is beautiful.
Brunette works great on you.
Oh, so
nails also. They're amazing. Big upgrade. We won't talk about what they looked like yesterday.
No. What? Didn't happen.
I don't know what you're talking about. I wake up like this. This is, by the way, this is what our workout sessions look like.
And
All of this. Like, how can I distract her and make a joke so that she'll stop putting me through?
does it work?
Sometimes, 9 out of 10 times, like I'll
Sometimes
get
it
an
does.
extra minute of relaxation or a break. It's not relaxing. Or like you'll count 15. I'll say it's 15, but really it was 10. You know.
It's okay. And then the other one,
And then you make me do
make
more.
you do more. Yeah, that's fine.
It always balances out. Life is just balanced out. But getting back to the seriousness, was there ever a time in your life that you look back at your life and are like, oh my gosh, not, oh, I looked good, or oh, I looked not so good? And what would you almost say it was because of? Was it poor eating? Was it poor working out? Was it emotional? If you could pinpoint a time that you looked the worst, what did it have to do with?
Oh, emotional for sure. I've come from a history, a lot of binge eating disorder.
Okay.
And a lot, which I still deal with, body dysmorphia.
So that's where I was going with it. I wanted to see, because I mean, a lot of people are guilty of it, but I personally have a big issue where for a long time I would look in the mirror and I'm like, I see this huge person. And there was a time in my life that I was chunkier, you know, when I was younger, and then after kids and life, like you said, life happens.
Yeah.
But I learned more recently that what I look like now is not really what was looking in the mirror back at me. Yeah. But if you're saying it's emotional and you struggled with body dysmorphia, how were you able to sort of change that script or work on that? What would be your tips?
Tips would be first to like understand what's causing you, what are the root causes of the results you're dissatisfied with. My case was weight gain. It came from an emotional, all throughout my life. I can talk about the last one, but all throughout my life, every time I had weight fluctuations, they all had an emotional base. You know, I was going through stuff. I was not in touch with my emotions. I was just, just whatever, not paying attention, and an emotional wreck, and that like goes into a very weird eating and drinking habits and partying habits also. Doesn't help. But on the last one was when I went through my divorce. Well, actually a little bit before my divorce, but it was during COVID. I got COVID like most people did. And then I got a severe mold toxicity disease, which is called chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And I gained a bunch of weight. But looking back, yes, it was a physiological thing. It did affect my hormones. It affected my satiety levels. It affected how my body processes food. My gut was inflamed. It was horrible. But it did have an emotional bias. And that from that point all throughout my divorce and a little bit time after, which I can say it lasted about 2 to 3 years, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of just, first of all, trying to deal with what my emotions were telling me, which was a big breakthrough in my life, because up until that point, I don't think I ever was able to connect those dots.
Oh, wow.
This is why I'm looking like that. And once again, looking back in the pictures, I didn't look that bad.
Right.
But I felt horrible. I felt so miserable. I felt like, oh my gosh, like what happened, to the point that I was looking in the mirror, like I couldn't recognize myself. It's like, who is this? Who is this Amanda? Like, how did I end up here? And after I sorted out what I could do emotionally on my own journey, I just started doing what I know it worked for me in the past, which is I need to get better with my eating.
Okay.
I need to get better with my training. I need to get better with my habits. Even though I really don't feel like doing any of those right now, I really feel like crawling under my blankets and just doing nothing, being in my pity party. But I need to do those actions. As much as it's uncomfortable going to the gym when I'm overweight, as much as it's uncomfortable for me having an online presence as a fitness athlete, competitor, influencer, name it, whatever you want, and putting on gym clothes that I know they don't look good and showing in the gym like I've never lifted in my life.
Right.
These are like all the barriers I needed to get rid of and overcome, because I know there's only one way to improve myself.
By pulling yourself out of the rut.
And going on that uncomfortable
journey
phase of the starting again.
Right.
And
we all go through it.
Yeah, over and over again. Yeah. We always starting over because life is not perfect. We have times where we have to
constantly changing and evolving.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not happening.
It's not happening. Yeah. And that was you asked about some tips, and I think it's just that is not being scared of the uncomfortable, the initial uncomfortable, because it will get better. And if you don't overcome that phase, which might last a month, a year, who knows, you will never get out of that pit that you are, and it's only going to get darker and deeper, and that's dangerous.
Right. Wow. If there was one key takeaway that you can share with the world, any advice, what would it be?
Be kind to yourself. Be more kind to yourself. Take yourself a little less seriously. Laugh at yourself. Everybody's just faking it, honestly.
Oh, wow.
None of us know what we're doing. We're just trying.
We figure it out as we go.
We figure out as we go, and make the journey easier for you. Life already
grace
is hard.
It's my new favorite word. Give yourself grace.
Exactly. That's beautiful.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on here.
Is it already? It felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm so happy this went by fast.
I know, so fast.
And I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And hopefully this episode will touch way more than one person, because I know that everyone struggles with it.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
This is really
you.
special.